My phone lit up on the counter, and my body reacted like it recognized a threat. Throat tight, hands cold, heart doing that stupid, fast stutter. I hadn't even touched the phone yet, but I already knew what was on the screen. Tessa. I hadn't seen that name in 4 years. The last time it appeared, I was canceling a wedding and trying to keep my breakfast down in a gas station bathroom. Her text was short, careful. Hey, I know I shouldn't be texting, but I need to talk to you, one time. Please. 12 days. That's how close I was to marrying Maya. Close enough that relatives were texting about hotel check-in like this was a conference. Close enough that my life felt settled in a way I still wasn't used to. I stared until the screen dimmed, then tapped it awake again because apparently I like pain today. Another message popped in. It's not what you think it was. You deserve the truth. Maya walked in, hair still damp, hoodie sleeves pushed up. She took one look at my face and didn't dramatize it. Who? She asked. I held the phone out like it was radioactive. Tessa. Maya read, then looked at me with that steady, boundaries-first calm that made me fall for her in the first place. She waited until we're almost there, she said. That's not a coincidence. I didn't tell her, I said. You don't have to. People sense when they're losing access. That word, access, hit harder than I expected, because that's what Tessa always wanted. Access to my effort, my plans, my forgiveness. Maya kept her voice soft. You don't owe her a meeting. I know, I said, but what if she's trying to fix it? Maya's eyes didn't change, but her tone sharpened. She wants relief, not repair. And just like that, I was back in the night my old life cracked open. Late spring, wedding week, the world felt like a checklist. Final payments, seating chart fights, people asking if we wanted chicken or salmon, like that decision mattered more than the rest of my future. Tessa was home, writing vows. Caleb, my best friend, my groomsman, had texted me earlier. Stop stressing, you're marrying up. That night, I realized I'd left a hard drive at the house. Client deadline the next morning. I turned around, irritated at myself, already drafting an apology email in my head. When I pulled into the driveway, Tessa's car was there. So was Caleb's. My brain tried to be generous. Maybe he was dropping off decorations. Maybe they were planning something. Maybe. I opened the front door and heard laughter from the back of the house. Not casual laughter, private laughter. The kind that makes you feel like you're trespassing in your own hallway. I walked toward my office. The door was half closed, light leaking out. And then I heard Tessa, low and amused. He won't check. He hates conflict. Caleb answered, voice tight like he was forcing confidence. After the wedding, it's easier. He'll be traveling. We'll have time. After the wedding. I pushed the door open. They didn't need to be caught in some graphic scene. The setup said enough. Tessa sat on the edge of my desk in my hoodie, bare feet tucked under her like she lived there. Caleb was in my chair, too comfortable, one hand on her leg like it was normal. My laptop screen was awake. A shared calendar was open, repeating weekends, notes, little coded jokes in the titles, planning, not panic. Caleb sprang up and knocked over a stack of envelopes. Our save the dates, half-stamped. Drew, he blurted. Man, listen. Tessa didn't apologize. She frowned, annoyed. You're home early. That was the moment everything rearranged inside me. Not heartbreak first. Clarity. My voice came out steady and flat. How long? Caleb looked at the floor. Tessa answered like she was bored of the question. Since winter. but it's not what you think. I pointed at the calendar. It's exactly what I think. Caleb took a step toward me, palms up. Please, don't blow up your life. I stared at him and felt something detach cleanly, like a cable unplugged. You already did, I said. I grabbed the hard drive off the desk. I didn't argue. I didn't negotiate. I didn't give them a scene to rewrite later. I walked out, got in my car, and sat there shaking so hard I couldn't turn the key. Then the practical part hit. The calls, the money, the flights, the family messages you can't unsend. By sunrise, I was canceling everything. Short sentences, no debate. I texted my parents, "Do not come." I turned my phone off anyway. That afternoon, I packed what fit in my trunk and drove until my hands stopped trembling. I slept in a motel and stared at the ceiling, thinking about how fast a life can become a cautionary tale. Rebuilding didn't happen in a montage. It was slow, boring, and brutal. I walked away from video work and apprenticed with a guy who repaired commercial espresso machines. I learned grease, wiring, pressure valves. I saved, bought broken machines, flipped them, and eventually opened a small service shop that turned into a real business. Nothing flashy, just mine. And then I met Maya, composed, funny, allergic to nonsense. I told her the whole story early, because secrets are just future problems. She didn't ask for details to punish herself. She asked for details to understand me. Back in our kitchen now, Maya slid my phone back across the counter like it was evidence. "If you answer," she said, "it's on your terms. Public, no private conversations." I swallowed. "And if she escalates?" Maya's gaze held mine. "Then we protect our life," she said, "and we don't hesitate." My phone buzzed again. Same name, same old gravity, and I realized Tessa wasn't texting for truth. She was texting because she could feel the door closing. I stared at Tessa's text like it might change if I blinked hard enough. Under 2 weeks until my wedding, and she picked now to reappear. That wasn't nostalgia. That was timing. Maya slid into problem-solving mode, not panic. We sat at the kitchen table with coffee and a notepad like we were planning an escape route. "One reply," she said. "No calls, no private meeting." I typed, "Saturday, 11:30, Harbor and Pine Cafe, public, 15 minutes. That's it." Maya read it and nodded. "I'm coming." Saturday morning, my stomach was tight and jumpy, like my body remembered the night I walked in on my old life without asking permission. Maya drove. She parked where cameras could see the sidewalk, because romance is great, but evidence is better. Harbor and Pine was bright, crowded, and loud. Perfect. Maya chose a table with a clear view of the entrance and a clear path to the door. She didn't squeeze my hand. She just stayed steady. At 11:33, Tessa walked in. She looked smaller than she used to, not in height, just in presence. Hair pulled back hard, eyes too alert, a smile that didn't settle. She spotted me, hesitated, then walked over like she expected the floor to tilt. "Drew," she said. "Hi." She lifted her arms for a hug. I stayed standing, polite and still. Her arms dropped. "This is Maya," I said. "We have 15 minutes. Tessa sat and spoke fast, like speed could outrun shame. "I'm not here to ruin your wedding, I swear." "You texted me right before it," I said. "So that's already the vibe." Her jaw tightened. "I didn't plan it like that. I saw you online, your shop, that interview. You looked happy. And it hit me that you get to move on like I didn't wreck you." Maya's voice stayed level. "Why do you need his attention for that?" Tessa blinked, annoyed at the interruption. "Because he deserves the truth," Then she said it, exactly like the line was printed on a card. "It's not what you think." I waited. She leaned forward. "Caleb manipulated me. He told me you were pulling away. He said you were going to leave after the wedding and make me look stupid." I stared at her. "So you slept with my best friend to prevent being left?" "It didn't start like that," she said quickly. "It was talking. He was always around. You were always stressed, and he made it feel like I mattered." I could almost hear my laptop fan from that night. The shared calendar open, the repeating weekends, the little jokes in the titles. That wasn't confusion. That was planning. "How long?" I asked. She hesitated. "Months." "And you still let deposits get paid," I said. "You still smiled through tastings. You still let people book flights." Her eyes watered, but her voice turned defensive. "You weren't perfect. You were distant. You cared more about work than us." Maya didn't flinch. "He's not here to be tried," she said. "He's here because you want a verdict." Tessa's face tightened. She turned back to me, softer again. "I've been in therapy. I stopped drinking. I'm trying to be better. I just need to know you don't think I'm evil." There it was. Not repair. Relief. "You want me to absolve you," I said. "I want closure," she whispered. "Closure is what you build," I said, "not what you extract." Tessa's shoulders sagged. "You have no idea what it did to me," she said, and I almost admired the nerve. "I lost friends. My sister stopped talking to me for a year. I had to transfer jobs because everyone treated me like I was contagious. Caleb didn't stay. He played victim, told people you were intense, and then he disappeared the second it got uncomfortable." She searched my face like she could find permission hiding there at all. "I'm not asking to be in your life," she added quickly. "I just want you to stop hating me." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even lean in. "I don't spend energy hating you," I said. "I spend it protecting what I have now." That answer seemed to scare her more than anger would have, because hate still means connection, and she was here for any thread she could pull. For a second, she looked angry, like she'd expected the version of me who apologized for being hurt. Then she swallowed and changed tactics. "Okay," she said quietly. "Then I'm warning you." My stomach sank anyway. "Caleb knows you're getting married," she said. "He's been watching your business page. He's not doing well. He blames you for making him the bad guy. He's been drinking a lot." Maya's eyes stayed on Tessa. "What's he saying he'll do?" Tessa rubbed her thumb hard over her phone case. "Show up, message people, contact your fiancé. He wants to tell his side." I felt heat creep up my neck. My wedding, my employees, my friends, everything I rebuilt, suddenly feeling reachable again. I stood. "Time's up." Tessa's eyes widened. "Drew, wait. I'm trying to help you." "You're trying to feel better," I said. "Helping would have been telling the truth when it mattered." She snapped just for a second. "So you're erasing me, like I never mattered?" I looked at her and felt a clean, cold certainty. "You mattered," I said. "That's why it hurt. But you don't get access to me because you miss being forgiven." Maya rose beside me. No drama, no glare, just present. "Don't contact me again," I said. "If Caleb reaches out, stay out of it." Tessa nodded too fast. "Okay, I'm sorry." We walked out into the winter-bright street. For half a block, I didn't speak, because my voice felt like it belonged to someone else. Then my phone buzzed. An email from my office manager, forwarded with one line above it. "Do you know someone named Caleb Price? He just emailed our general inbox." I pulled into a grocery store lot and opened the forwarded email. The subject line hit like a shove. Before you marry him. My pulse started that ugly, fast rhythm I hadn't missed. Caleb wrote a concerned warning disguised as confession. He said I was controlling. He said Tessa had been scared. He said he was finally telling the truth. Then he dropped the detail meant to rattle me. He knew the venue. Maya read it once and handed my phone back. "Save everything," she said. No replies. Back at the shop, I called my office manager, Rena. "Forward every message to a folder," I told her. "If he shows up, don't talk. Call security." Rena's voice went thin. "Call you first?" "Security first," I said. "Then me." Maya did what she always does. She built structure around chaos. She opened our vendor list and started locking doors I didn't know were open. "Passwords," she said, "and a verification phrase only we know." Within an hour, the venue and coordinator were briefed. No changes without our phrase. No guest additions by phone. A photo on file. It felt dramatic until I remembered Caleb loved back doors. That night, he tried to widen the blast radius. He messaged my sister about closure. He emailed my mother. He even emailed a client of mine asking if I was still volatile. None of it was about truth. It was about control. The next morning, Rena stepped into my office, pale. "He's outside," she said. Through the front windows, Caleb stood on the sidewalk like he belonged there, scanning the door, the street, the cameras. He looked rougher than I remembered, but still confident in the way people are when they think they can force a conversation. Maya stood. "We go together," she said. We stayed inside the doorway, glass between us, witnesses around us. Caleb spotted me and raised a hand like we were old friends. "Drew," he called. "Come on." I kept my voice even. "You need to leave." He walked closer anyway. "I just want to talk," he said. "Man to man." Maya's tone was calm. "You contacted his workplace and family. That's intimidation." Caleb's eyes flicked to her. "See, this doesn't involve you." "It does," Maya said, "because you're trying to insert yourself into our life." He looked back at me, jaw working. "You never told anyone how you treated Tessa." My body wanted to react, defend, explain. I didn't feed it. "You don't get to rewrite history at my door," I said. "Leave." He laughed once, sharp. "You always needed control." Maya lifted her phone, recording. "Say what you came to say," she told him, "or go." Caleb saw the camera and shifted, suddenly wounded. "I made mistakes," he said. "But you turned it into a public execution. You let everyone hate me." "You earned that," I said, "by choosing it for months." His face tightened. "Admit you weren't innocent." There it was, a demand for shared guilt, so he could carry less. "I'm not meeting you anywhere private," I said, "and I'm not giving you that." His voice dropped into a hiss. "Then I'll show up. I'll tell your fiancé everything." Maya didn't blink. "If you show up, you'll be removed." For the first time, he looked unsure. He stepped back, tried a smirk. "Congrats on your perfect life," he said, and walked off fast. I exhaled so hard it hurt. My hands were shaking, but now there was direction. That afternoon, we did the unglamorous part. We met with an attorney Maya knew and drafted a formal no-contact notice with dates, screenshots, and one instruction. Stop contacting me, my family, my workplace, and any vendor. It went out certified. We filed an incident report for the shop. The venue arranged an off-duty guard. My mother texted that night. "Maybe you should just talk to him and clear the air." Maya leaned into me. "She wants it to be normal," she said. "Normal is gone." I replied with one sentence. Please don't engage. Send screenshots. 2 days later, Caleb tried one last hook from a new email address. If you don't meet me, I'll tell Maya the whole truth. Maya read it and gave a quiet laugh. He thinks you have a secret big enough to undo us, she said. I don't, I said. I know, she said. That's why he's frantic. The week moved forward anyway. Final calls. Vows written at midnight. The small stress of wedding details felt almost comforting compared to the old stress of being hunted by someone else's guilt. On the wedding day, winter light poured through the venue windows like a reset. Friends hugged me without questions. The guard at the entrance nodded once, steady. Caleb never showed at the ceremony. When Maya walked toward me, I felt the last thread of my old life finally snap. Not violently, just finished. No more flinching at my phone. No more bracing for the past. Maya reached me and whispered, "We're safe." Halfway through cocktail hour, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. For a second, my muscles locked. Old reflex. I didn't answer. I handed it to Maya, and she silenced it without looking, like it was nothing. 10 minutes later, the coordinator pulled me aside and said someone had tried the staff entrance, insisting he was a friend of the groom. The off-duty guard asked for a name, got attitude, and escorted him off the property. No shouting, no spectacle, just a door that stayed closed. I knew it was Caleb. I also knew he didn't get what he came for, my attention. I didn't chase the drama. I stayed inside with the people who came for us. When the music started, I caught myself laughing, real laughter, the kind that doesn't check the exits first finally anymore. I married the right person, and I left the wrong story exactly where it belonged. No apology required, no access granted, just forward forever.